Okay, so today I will show you how I work last times because once again, as you know, there are a lot of updates with Photoshop and also other plugins. I just discovered one which is completely new by Topaz Labs, which is Bloom. Bloom is a new upscaler for AI images, but not only upscaler, it can also add, let's say, creativity to your images. I was really impressed with some results. Of course, with EA, you know that sometimes it works, sometimes it's not very good. But anyway, the first thing I work with nowadays because for my creation I don't take photos, or very rarely I take photos. Maybe architecture, but I shooted a lot of architecture all these years. So nowadays, but not nowadays only, if I need something, one element or several elements in my images, I was used to buy them on stock images, but nowadays there is also the possibility with AI. So I will show you, because the problem, I use personally Adobe Firefly for AI, but the problem is the pixels, the number of pixels, which still are quite low. I know that for Firefly, it's 2048 pixel length and 8 if it's quad. So you need to upscale them, and I do that very often. And not only upscale, I like very much the denoise tool and the sharpen tool in Topaz AI. So that's the first thing I will show you with the flower photography. So I will share my screen. Just if someone can tell me you see my my screen, my Topaz.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, both images. So I will open, I prepared something here, presentation. Okay, flower. Okay, so if you can see now the two flowers, when you open it in Topaz AI, there is a autopilot. So Topaz will detect, and you see the before and after. Look, the sharpening is really good. Of course, you can, it's automatic. It's what Topaz decide to do. So it decide to denoise. The balance color also, why not? The upscale is always added to the processing. So here, upscale, you can upscale. Usually, I upscale. It's enough for me. If you need a huge file, you can go for, and maximum I think is 6. But personally, by 2, it's okay for me. You see, it will be 4,600 around the pixels by 3,050 something. So it's enough for what we will do. And you see the sharpening is really nice, and it's also clean. You see, we have much more details here on the right. So usually I leave it as it is, or I can turn off the autopilot and add enhancement. So for example, denoise. Okay, denoise, you see, it's much better. Sharpen was added also. The sharpening is really good. And upscale, once again, by 2, it's enough. So usually I don't do too much. You have a lot of setting in Photo AI, but yeah, for me, it's okay. So export image, save, and I will save it. Just a few seconds. I need to close to stop the sharing, because I will open now in Photoshop. Okay, so as you can see now, the flower has a very good size, image size. You see, that's comfortable. Usually, I like my framing, usually, but I will not for the moment. I will first start to show you a little bit, because that's the purpose also of the presentation today, the layers. I personally like, which is not obliged, but I like to duplicate always the background layer. So Control or Command G on Mac, J, sorry, in English. Okay, and also I always hide the visibility of the background layer. I show you why. If here I want to transform, Control or Command T, if I do something like that, okay, just a little bit, I want to reframe a little bit, done. And because, you see, around it's white, you don't see the problem, but look, if I unclick, you see? So you can do a lot of mistakes like that. It happens also sometimes to me. So be careful. Always prefer to hide the visibility of the background layer. It's here just in case, if you need it later, if you did a mistake or etc. There are a lot of possibilities. I maybe will show you if it works with this exercise. So Control or Command Z. So, and that's it. So, oh, sorry, I need to go one more. Okay, and okay. So that's the flower. I will show you today how I create my last image. Maybe I just show you very fast here on Facebook. It will be easier. Stop sharing, share again. Okay. So that's the creation. I posted it for those knowing fluorography group. I posted yesterday. So as you can see, the idea was to mix the flower you just saw with the model here. So the model is a real image. I will show you later. By the way, you can see the two images, photos involved. Not photos, because the flower here, and the result I think is really cool. It's AI. I generated it with AI. And my idea, I bought this image, the second one here, that stock image, because I wanted to do something I did recently, which I can show you. Okay, here it is. Not this one. Not this one. This one. You can see it big?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the same style of model with a big dress, and as you can see, I added the flowers on the dress. And that was before. Okay. But I wanted to do something different, because when I work on a new topic, I always try to experiment different things. So my idea, I did not know exactly what to do with this flower, mostly because of the angle. The angle was a little bit particular, so I was not sure what to do with it. So let's come back to the Photoshop. I mean, I will select the flower because I want to remove the white background, but here the shadows are interesting. But just to show you here how nowadays, sorry, use the selection tools, because a few times ago I would have said, and it's a key, of course, when you create composite images. The key is to master the selection. So once again, I repeat, I will send to in my next newsletter a video on selection and Photoshop for beginners, so you will have much more information. Selection is the key, and when I say selection, I say a very precise selection, because there is nothing worse than a selection which is not precise. Especially, some of you know that I like to work on architecture, and here you have to be very precise. On flower, okay, the shapes are more complicated, etc. So you have a little margin if you do a mistake. But nowadays, here, for example, one thing I can say right now, and some of you know, of course, I don't use, not at all, but I don't use the pen tool. Very, very little. Of course, if I need to work with a curve, I will use it, because you can very easily follow the lines, and it's very easy. You can, of course, refine, etc. I will just stop here, but I don't use it. It's for me. Uh, for me, I know that can be a complicated tool. Sorry, if you are a beginner, it's not very easy to master. It's a really good tool, but for me, here also, my philosophy is to be as simple as possible. By the way, one of my preferred tool, which is a polygonal lasso tool, I'm almost, of course, it will be not that precise, and here I'm doing a little bit fast, but look, I can also follow the line even if they are curvy. So there are, of course, here it's not good, but there are a lot of tools. Here I really much more prefer the geometric selection tool. I work also a lot with the elliptical marquee tool, with a rectangular marquee tool, so much more than the pen tool. Once again, I use it in very specific needs. Okay, Control or Command D, deselect. And when I just said Control or Command D on Mac, try to learn, because I see very often that my students, some of you here, they don't use much the shortcuts. And believe me, you lose the time to go to the menus, etc. So just learn the most important shortcuts. They all are, you can see them on the right of the name of the tool. So try, for example, one of the most important, if not the most important, is save, which is on PC. I'm on PC, Control S, or Command S on Mac. So that's also a good use of Photoshop. So selection nowadays, because I know it works very easily for this kind of image. Some images can be very complicated. I will show you something different later. But here, even if the background is white, sorry, and there is also a lot of highlights, if I select here the object selection tool, I use it 90% of the time on my flower works, for example. So I select it, and look, if I just scroll over, you can see that all the flower was detected. So I just have to click, one click. I need to check here, you see, if you don't want to see anymore when you scroll over, just change, select another tool. You see, it did not take this part. Yeah, I can understand. So maybe I will add it once again with the polygonal lasso tool in the option bar. Add two selections, and I will add to my selection. Okay, something like that. And you see now it's added. A very good practice, also important, and I repeat that almost every day. Zoom in to see what you do. For example, if you zoom in here, it's not bad. I will leave it as it is, but that's very important to understand. You see here, we can discuss if it's good or not. So maybe I will show you something I like also very much, which is the quick mask mode. Shortcut Q. I click on it, and you see now my flower, my selection inside is filled with red. You can change the color. Red is a basic color for this tool. And with the brush, okay, brush, right click or control click on Mac, hardness to the maximum. I want something very sharp. Opacity, yes, maybe 100%. And if I select white foreground, I will just remove here. I can refine like that, you see, if I have some parts which are not very good. Okay, etc., etc. I will not do that on all. By the way, everything here looks, you see, if you zoom in enough, you see that here you need to remove a little bit. If you want, of course, to be very, very precise, which I suggest to be precise with Photoshop. You see here, it's not perfect. So here, outside, see, with white. If I want to, the contrary, to add here, maybe this very, very small part, black foreground, and that's it. You see, there are a lot of parts here. We could do something. Oh, maybe here it's not very, very good. So I will just unclick the quick mask mode to try to understand. Yes, here. I don't know. Maybe I will try to remove. I want to do something maybe more. Yeah, maybe something like that. Okay, so you see now with this kind of tools, you can work way better than it was possible even a few months ago. The updates are just incredible. At this point, that's something also very specific to me. The academic way, let's say like that, would be to save my selection in a new channel. So right click inside and save selection. Okay, I can rename flower. And what will be the result? Operation, new channel. Okay. As you can see, if I go to the channels panel, I indeed see my flower here selection. So Control or Command D, deselect. I put my cursor here on the thumbnail, Control or Command click, and I load the selection. I don't like this way. I will just select it and just delete that. Of course, it doesn't add any pixels to your file. But in fact, I don't care very much the weight of my file. What is important to me is comfort. And I would much more prefer, with my selection here, just click Control or Command J. So now, as you can see, my flower is in a new layer. I added some pixels, so I increase the weight of my file, sorry. But anyway, I prefer much more like that. I can also, by the way, unclick the eye. So I just need this layer here to load when I need or I want the flower. So Control, Command, click on the thumbnail. You see? Much better. Of course, you can also put this panel somewhere else, etc. But in the channels, the thumbnail is black and white, and I really don't like that. So that's for me much more comfortable. The flower, I will select it, Control or Command click. For example, it will be not very easy here because that's white, but I would like to change the color. For example, here or here. By the way, I have a statistic here. 90% of my, or if not more, of my students they go here, click at the bottom, and for example, hue saturation. Okay, I much prefer in my use of Photoshop to have here the single adjustment. So I can see them here directly, and it's just one click here, one click, two click. And here, directly, hue saturation. And as you can see, it's applied, of course, to my selection, which is the flower. I will change. I will try to change the color. It will be, yes, it will be just inside because the white. Okay, okay, no problem. I will just change that. You just need one adjustment. Why I say that? Because I also, it's not rare. I see sometime in my students' work. I, for example, will add a curve. I want more light. Okay. I will add levels, adjustment. I will decrease the light. Okay. So you don't need that much adjustment. Try to minimize the number of them. For example, here, I will delete. One is enough. It's just enough for the purpose. I always can get back to it, double click if I want to change something, okay? But don't try to apply one adjustment and another one and a third one, etc. For, I mean, the same purpose. If you want to change something else, of course, it's okay. But try to have a panel with not too much layers. You can create groups, colors. For example, here you see if I click here, right click, I can, for example, add a color. Okay, I can add another color, etc., etc. Why not? Why not? If it helps to make your panel more visible for you. You will know, for example, that the red will be for all the light adjustments, the green for colors, etc., etc. Up to you. But there is something I try. No color. I will delete. No color. Sorry. There is also something here. So I try to have the minimum of layers. There is something also I try not to have too much. Even, for example, in my last courses on flowers, we will see that in the workshop next week. I create groups when it's necessary to put some layers in a group. I do that, but not too much. Not too much, because there is a moment you will not find anything anymore in your group. It can be complicated. Try to have the biggest window, because for me that's the most important. The biggest window, panel, I mean, for your layers. You see, I try to have the maximum here, and for example, my properties here, for example, let's click here. You see, my properties are outside. So my panel here is what I need, just what I need, mostly the most layers and adjustments. Okay. I will just stop my sharing for a few seconds. Okay, so let's say I have my flower. By the way, I don't need here the hue saturation. I delete everything I don't need. Or let's Command Z. For example, that's not the best example, of course, but when I work for commission work, I work, for example, for a company in perfume industry. They very often ask me to make beautiful their new perfume, but if they have the bottle, sometimes the perfume itself, it's a prototype, so they don't have immediately the right color, for example. Okay, so let's say it's a perfume, and I will save my. That's very important. I will save my file as as name, etc. And the type will be Photoshop, PSD, okay? Because when I sent to my client this image, he can say, oh, David, the red here is not exactly the color. So I don't have to do a lot of work to change it. I just get back to my setting and maybe I will change okay, a little bit more to magenta, and etc., etc. So just keep the layers, adjustment, etc. you need in case yourself you want to change something, or if you are asked to change something. Yeah. So I don't need it. I will just delete. Okay. Okay. Let's consider, I will delete also the curve. It was just for the example. I will open now my second image, which is the model. Okay, you can see it?
Yes.
Okay. So my idea first was to try to do something in the same style I created a few times ago, but I wanted to try with the leaves to incorporate them in the big dress here. I tried, I was not convinced, so I decided to do something completely different. So what I did first will be, as always, to duplicate the background layer, hide the visibility, okay, and I will change the background, okay. So here also, I will just select. Oh, by the way, I don't need for the moment to select anything. I will show you in a Boris FX because I wanted to have another background. So maybe I will incorporate the flower here. So I will just make it visible. Click and drag, always in an empty part of your layer. I go to my image, and here, you see, here the size of the flower and the size of the file of the model are different. So always be careful to try to match to get something similar. So you see, when I saw that, I said, okay, maybe there is something more interesting to do than trying to put the leaves here in the dress. I was not sure of a very, very good visibility. So I said, oh, okay, maybe here there is something to do. So I will just hide the visibility for the moment. And I will not change the background for the moment. I will first, oh, I can, by the way. So I click on the layer, object selection tool, and you see directly, you scroll over, click, okay. Okay, and you see, I will not check. I know it's not perfect, but we will not have enough time. And from this selection on my layer mask, white make visible, black invisible. So indeed, the gray background, which was the background, is now not visible because I will make the layer mask big. And here I want to say something. If you have a priority in your Photoshop learning layer mask, that's for me the most important. Everything you will do, especially with composite images, you will do them on layer mask. You will we will see later. So I will just change my tool. Okay, so it's done. Maybe I like also here, for example, it's not a very good practice of Photoshop, but Control or Command J, copy. And I will hide the visibility of this one. In case of I do a mistake or etc., etc., I have here a copy. a clean copy of my layer. So, okay. And now here I will change. I need, in fact, I just need the model and a little bit around. I will take a little bit around. Why around? I will tell you. Okay, because here you see you have very, very interesting lines with a dress. And here on my layer mask, I will fill, edit, fill. Oops, sorry. It was with white. Edit, fill with white. But let me check something. I did a mistake because I need to remove anything else than what is inside my selection. So sorry, select inverse. So now my selection is everything around my my model. And now here indeed I can edit, fill with black. Okay, so now as you can see, layer mask big. If you want to see your layer mask big, which is, by the way, very, very important sometimes because you are not always sure, especially when you dodge, burn, etc. You never are sure to have black and white. So Alt or Option on Mac, click, and you can see here white make visible, black make invisible. White reveals, black conceals, I think in English, right? So if I want to get back to my image, I put the cursor on my thumbnail, Alt or Option click. Okay, and now let's click the flower, but I will drag it underneath the dress. Okay, something like that. And you begin to see what I do. Maybe I will just make it, I will make the flower, sorry, a little bit bigger. Control or Command T, transform, and I will make it bigger, bigger. Okay. I will put everything more in the center. Oops, sorry. Control T for the model also. Oh, there is something wrong, sorry. What? Control or Command T, transform. And why it does not work? Sorry. Well, I don't understand what happened. Just a second, please. I can move it, but why isn't it impossible with Command Control T? Now it works. I don't know why it did not work. So I need to make it a little bit smaller because you see, I will of course clean everything to match with the dress and the flower. Okay, maybe something like that. Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, so I have now my foreground and my background. And now, once again, it's what I told you on the layer mask with a brush. Opacity, let's go, 880 or something like that. Bigger size, right click, hardness to the minimum. I want to do something very, very soft, and look, oh, it's too much. So Control or Command Z. So I will lower much more the opacity, 30. Yeah, maybe it's better. And you see, I will take my time and remove, you see, okay, here, not sure what I will do. Too much. Here, I even will lower much more the opacity. Once again, I tell you, when I created this image yesterday, it took me hours to match everything very nicely. But here, I don't have enough time, of course. Okay, maybe something like that. And I will do everything around. You see, I made a little mistake here. The problem here is the center of the flower, so I will just unclick. I will delete this part. So here we have a lot of possibilities. I will select it with the lasso tool. Game changer, something I use almost every day, which can save you a lot of time and work with precision, the generative fill. I use it, I tell you. So I click inside. I don't write anything and generate. That's always the first thing I will try to do. And sometimes, of course, you are never sure. Okay, it's smaller. For me, it will be easier. This one, it's even smaller. Okay, let's say okay for this one. So I will merge the two layers. So to merge, click and Control or Command click, right click, merge layers. And now, of course, there are tools which I use also, like the remove tool, for example. Let's try. I will just do like that. Well, it's not bad because don't forget I will have the model, but now here I don't have the problem with the flower, so it's better. So let's say it's okay. Maybe here I will remove the yellow, so I will go around, and there are a lot of ways. For example, hue saturation. I will desaturate, but no, I don't like the results. So let's try selective color, which is a very, very powerful adjustment. We will go here in the yellows, and let's say yellow. We will remove, you see, now it's much better. I will remove a little bit of yellow, a little bit of magenta, no. Cyan, make it colder, yeah, it's better. And black, let's say. You can see the selection because the selection was sharp. So you can go here inside the mask, the icon, and increase the feather. So it will be softer around. You see, it's better. Yeah, for me it's okay. So I will once again here. I know I will not need to come back to this adjustment, so I will merge them together. So my flower, that's the final result, of course, here, but I don't care. My model will be in front of it. I could also dodge and burn a little bit. Let's say with a dodge tool, I use it a lot on highlights, very low exposure, and you see, I can try on midtones. There is also a tool here which is not very well known, which is a sponge tool, sorry. With it, you can desaturate or saturate. Here, I want to desaturate, flow 20%. Let's start with that. And you see, I will desaturate which work, by the way, here very well. See? And it's okay. Once again, my model here is in front of my image. So let's get back now to the layer mask. And I repeat, if you want to learn something, the most important one of the most important things is the layer mask. Oh, sorry, white. See, and you need to go, of course, very try to be very accurate. Here, of course, I will not select the. I did that yesterday. I selected here the arms, the model, etc. But here I will do. Maybe here to see, because behind, you see, it's not good without selection. So maybe I will leave here the transparency. Okay. You see, you need to fade. Well, I will need to select a little bit anyway. Too much. You see, it begins to be better, but we still need to work on that. Maybe also the color of the dress. There is a little bit of gray, but we will fix that later. But here, I will need anyway to select polygonal lasso tool around here, the head. I don't need here to be very, very precise. I will need to remove here everything. And on the layer mask, if I continue here, I can go 100% opacity, no problem. Okay, something like that. Maybe here also smaller. Right click, hardness to the maximum, because I don't want any feather. Oops. I do fast. Usually I would have done a selection. But anyway, it's okay for the purpose here today.
Have to go outside.
Sorry. Okay. So we begin to have something. There is something I noticed yesterday. You see here, there is no texture. It's a little bit poor. So I will click on this layer, the flower, I will take texture from here, for example. Okay. Select it. Control or Command J. So I get the texture now in a new layer. V, move tool, and I will drag it here. Control or Command T, I need to transform. And I will put this texture here maybe. And then I will need to clean, of course. Okay. You see, so now I have texture. But layer mask again on this, and I will clean here also. Opacity, not too much. And I will fade inside my image. Something like that. Once again, you need to work, not that, you see, before, after. Or, of course, it's a choice. You can say, I like it like that. Here, that's the same for me problem. I will, by the way, I can duplicate, or not, I will select another one, maybe, I don't know, maybe this one. This texture. Okay, I need to be on the layer of the flower, Control Command J, move tool, and I will move it here. Control or Command T transform. Okay, make it bigger for the moment, and then we will see how to clean. Okay, maybe I will go to the limit. Oops. Okay, and if I want a layer mask first, sorry, you see everything is layer mask. Everything you do will be with layer mask. I can select my flower, okay, and inverse, select inverse, because I can clean here everything on my layer mask. See? Here, okay, deselect, and now I need to clean a little bit here also. Okay, something like that for the moment. If it's too much, we can lower the opacity. Maybe it's better, by the way. And here, need to adjust a little bit also. Okay. So you see, we begin to have something. Okay, I could try maybe to see if I can reframe square. So it would be 30 on 30. No, it's not enough. So maybe 40 instead of 45. Yeah, maybe it's better. And okay. Okay. If I now, for example, no, it's not a good idea, sorry. Okay, let me just think what I will do now. Maybe add a background. So the flowers here, I worked on the texture on the petals. I will merge once again this layer because I know I don't need anymore to work on that. Okay, background. I will just click underneath and add a solid color for the moment. Maybe something. I want something a little bit maybe dark. No, I think it's nice also like that.
Oh, sweetie.
Sorry. I'm just thinking what color I will. The choice of the color is because I will go to Boris FX then, so that I need something a little bit like that. Okay. It's not very important, in fact, because you will see that I will change everything with Boris FX. Okay, so let's consider I'm happy for the moment with the result. By the way, you see, we don't see the drop shadow here anymore, but there is a possibility I will right click in an empty part of the layer, convert to smart object, and once again, Control J, a copy. I just have this copy here in case I need to load the selection and I don't have this layer anymore, etc. That's just for me as a security. I don't need, by the way, this layer anymore because we moved our image, so the selection is not at the right place now. Sorry? Okay. And I will create a stamp, drop shadow, sorry. I told you about the drop shadow. Double click in an empty part. Okay. Drop shadow. You see, the drop shadow is applied. It's too big. And maybe the opacity is too much. I can, of course, move the click here on drop shadow. By the way, the color, maybe I will do something darker, black. something like that. I can move the shadow here. So maybe I want just to apply it at the bottom. I can change the distance. As you can see, I can change the size if it's too big, you see. Okay, I can change here also. Here I usually don't change anything. And okay, that's the drop shadow. But it was just to show you, because when we will go to Boris FX, another plugin I use very, very much, you will see that we will lose the drop shadow. So it was just for you to see, but I will just delete it actually. Yeah. And on the very top of my panel, I will create a visible stamp layer. So a layer with everything underneath. So for that, the short key is Shift Control Alt E on PC or Shift Command Option E on Mac. Okay. As always, I like to work on a copy. Control or Command J. And by the way, here I will save the file because it happens sometime the Boris FX can crash. So, example. Just to give a name, and if it crashed. Okay, now let's go. We will create, of course, another background. But first, by the way, I could try with the filter on a smart object, by the way. We can convert to smart object, filter, liquify. Liquify is a magic tool for portrait retouching. You can change the shapes, etc. So I will try, maybe you will see, to move a little bit the direction of my... I don't know if it will be better or not, but I would like to follow a little bit more the... I will change the color here later. That's not... Yeah, it will not change a lot. You see, you can move everything like that. No, it's too much here. No, it's okay. Let's see the preview before, after. No, I'm not sure it's better. So, okay, I cancel. That's also something you have to understand in my use of Photoshop. I always try, even if it does not work, as it didn't with Liquify here, I try. I will try, and if I'm not happy, no problem, I will try something else. That's experimentation, and that's this way you can get interesting result, or the result you like. So let's go to, I will stop the sharing because the sharing will be lost when I open with Photoshop. So Photoshop, filter, Boris FX Optics. Okay, and share screen. You can see my screen, Boris FX?
Yes.
Okay. Boris FX is a plugin specialized in special effects. They are very well known in movies. You can create a lot. There are around 1,000 different presets, and you can, we will see that now. I will first, that's something which is quite new, beginning of the year. You can select very easily here. I want to select the flower and the model, okay? So for that, I will click here, add a new mask ML, which is a new, this new mask, okay. It works. You need to wait a little bit. That's an incredible tool, and it changed completely how I use it. So I will one click. Okay, it selected something. A second click, and you see it selects almost everything, and I click like that several times, it will add some points. Okay, I think it's enough. Oh, sorry, there is a question. The name of the plugin, as you can see here, it's Boris FX. Let's go to help. I will show you after I finish here, or I will write it, sorry, in the chat. Okay, let me just do that. Okay, so selection, you see, everything is selected. I click on the wheel here, it will refine a little bit the selection. And now, as you can see here, it works a little bit like Photoshop. You can see layers and the layer mask. White, you see that's the selection of our model and flower. The white reveal. So what I will apply now will be applied inside my subject, but I would like to change the background. So I can here invert, mask. So as Photoshop, the same, black make invisible, white visible. So now what I will apply, I will change the background. So I will not spend too much time here. By the way, on my YouTube channel, I have in English a presentation I did on plugins, and you can see much more about Boris FX. So let's go. I have my favorites here, and I would like to add day for night. I like very much this filter. Of course, here there is too much light, but that's almost what I did in my final results. So, okay, let's see if some of other background. No, I want to get a similar result I got in my image yesterday. So that's it. I will create a new layer. I will drag also here the layer mask on this new layer, because now I will add, for example, I do a little bit fast because I know what I want, particle illusions, and I want snow. I remember, you see this, oops, sorry. You see the snow behind? So something like that. You see, I applied several here. I will just show you one example. So if you open here all the properties, you can change everything. Let's say, for example, world center. If I want to move, see, here, you see, now it's bigger. I want a little bit more to the top. Oh, that's the bottom, sorry. My idea was to have something a little bit magic, you know, but I remember that I applied it several times. So once again, we don't have much time, so I will just show you so that's it. And now if, for example, I create a new layer, but I want to apply something inside here on the subject, I will, oops, sorry, I will drag the layer mask here, but I will invert it. Okay. So invert. So invert. So now, for example, look, if I click something like that, you see, it will be inside and not outside. Maybe this one is not very visible. Let's do with a texture, for example. Maybe. You see, it's not outside, it's inside, because it's where the mask is a white texture. It's not very, very visible. I would like to show you something maybe much more. Grunge texture, for example. You see, the texture is applied just inside because of the white mask here. But we don't need that, so I will just delete the layer. Why it does not delete layer. Okay, so that's it. Here I change the color of the background. I added these little things, and okay, apply. Okay. Boris, I will write you. That's not Boris FX. That's you can read in the chat. Boris FX, and they have several plugins. So the only one for photos is Optics. Boris FX Optics. There is a trial. You can, of course, try if you like, and then of course you need a subscription. There are different possibilities. Okay. Okay. So, do you have questions at this point?
Yeah, David, I don't know if it's a question, but what you just demonstrated, adding the colored background and the texture, you could have done that in Photoshop, right?
Yeah. Of course. I will show you very fast. For example, yeah, I remove what I just did. Look, if I select now my subject.
We just see you. We just see you now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I don't share. Okay, I think now you see my Photoshop. So I will select my flower, control click, okay. I will inverse. Oh, by the way, I could do something here. Maybe here on this layer, control or command J. So now I have a layer. If I just show this one, sorry, here there is a little bit to work, but just for you to understand the idea, okay? Now, if I want to change the color, solid color, background, it was something blue. It was something blue. Yeah, you see? Don't forget that. But yes, that's possible. But for everything with particles, etc., snow, etc., that's much more complicated with Photoshop. And with Photoshop, you also will need to find some brushes to do that, etc. So it can be more complicated. Yeah, but
so that's why you like the Boris. You like to use the Boris FX because it's all in one package.
Yeah, exactly, and it allows me. I told you several times today that I like very much to experiment. So I can click on one preset, on another one, etc., etc. It's very fast because it's one click. Okay, you can play also with the settings, but yeah, it allows me to do much more. If you ask me a few years ago, I would tell you that, all these presets, etc., are just scripts of Photoshop, but you can do that as you just ask me. You can do that yourself in Photoshop, but nowadays, I wouldn't work without Boris FX. For me, is completely in my workflow. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so we said that we got this result. Of course, my flower here is yellowish. So control click. I will desaturate. Okay, maybe I desaturate the model, but anyway, I need the flower to be a little bit white. And on the layer mask, once again, layer mask, I will remove the desaturation from opacity. I can go 100%. Here also, I will be a little bit fast, but okay. Of course, do that much more accurate. Okay, I think it's better. It's really yellowish, and you see now the dress. The integration is, of course, better. Okay, so let's, here also, I will not change anything, so I will merge these layers. You see, at the end, I don't have much layers. I can, okay, the background layer, that was a copy in case of, I can delete it. I don't need this one also anymore. What I don't need this one. You see, my image is just very, very few layers. Yeah. Okay, so we said I just drop shadow here, but I'm not sure I will be able because there is a background, sorry. So if I, no. Okay, I will control click and from my new layer, Command J, and now here, double click, I can add a drop shadow. It will work. Okay. I don't know, I just exaggerate a little bit just for you to see. Okay, something like that. Okay, drop shadow. So it gives a little bit more 3D. If it's too much, of course, double click and you can lower the opacity. I don't want too much, by the way, because you will see I will do something else. So, okay, another stamp layer here, because it will be easier for me. So Shift Control Alt E, or on Mac, Shift Command Option E. Okay, that's my final image. There is a plugin I like very much here. I will not do a lot on it, but copy, Control Command J, and Smart Object. Right click, convert to Smart Object. And, sorry, filter, Nik Collection. By the way, I just updated a few days ago to the last version, very last one, Nik Color FX. Okay, I need to stop my sharing and share again. Sorry, it will be in French because it does not translate. Oops, sorry, and share again. Share and share Nik Collection. Here it is. Okay, you can see it?
Yes.
Okay. I will, sorry, show you just one filter I like very, very much, which is in English, Glamour Glow, the glow. You see, before, after. And you see your image is softer. See? It gives softness. You can, of course, increase the effect. You see, it's more glowy before, after. And yes, it gives, let's say, a dreamy, you see, everywhere on the dress. So you see, it's more soft. I like that very, very much. Yeah, so I will just apply this. I don't use much, by the way, the color FX filters. I mostly use analog. In the Nik Collection, you have a plugin named Analog to reproduce old images with antique cameras, etc., etc. But here, okay, apply. I will apply and need to share again my Photoshop. Okay, okay. Last thing last thing I did here, I could do that on the same layer because it's a smart object. But let's again create a stamp layer and duplicate and right click, convert to smart object. Oh, by the way, let's get back. Sorry, I delete what I did because I just noticed something. Okay. Okay. If it's too much, you see, before, after, and it's too much a little bit on the petals here because we lose a lot of details. So on the layer mask, once again, layer mask with a brush, black. Let's reduce the opacity to something medium. Right click. Oops, sorry, I clicked. Hardness to 0. Make bigger, and I will remove a little bit of the softness I created with Nik Collection, sorry, here on the lip. So you see, I get a little bit more of texture. Yeah. But anyway, the result, you see the face, etc. It's more glowy. I like that. Okay, so now stamp layer, copy. Right. I always do create a copy because when I apply something on always a smart object, I can always come back to the layer mask and reveal what is underneath. That's the most important reason. So right click, convert to smart object. Yeah, when I create this image yesterday, say, okay, but there is something I don't like. I did not know exactly why, but I tried. I wanted to try filter, blur gallery, not blur, but blur gallery, the path blur, which is probably the blur I use most last times, especially on the flower, by the way, images I created. So I create the first pass. I will do also here a little bit fast. Double click, I create another one. Click, double click, I create another one. In fact, I create passes which follow the direction of the petals here. Click, double click, click, double click. Okay, and now I will increase the speed. So you will see, you get something like that. Of course, it's too much, but you will see what I will do later. I can also click on Edit Blur Shapes. Let's say on this one, if I click, you see to have the red arrow, and you can also, you see, move the direction, which can be interesting of your flower. Okay, I think it's enough. And okay, well, of course, that's too much, but the idea is to get the blur just here at the edge of the petal. So I am on the layer mask. Once again, work on the layer mask. And I will invert it. So for that, Control or Command I. Black, make invisible. So the blur I just applied is behind, but for the moment is not visible because of the black mask. And now with a brush again, brush layer mask, brush layer mask. That's I tell you again, if you have to concentrate on learning something, layer mask. If you master the layer mask, you can do everything you like. So with a brush, white, because I need now to reveal. Let's go opacity. I will try something like that, 40. Of course, hardness to 0. And just at the edge here, you see, I will just make the motion like that. Well, yesterday I spent much more time on that, but it gives you the idea. Of course, here, for example, sorry. You see, here, of course, if I brush, I will lose the snow here because it's a pass blur. So I could do something to not apply it. Let's try like that. And you see, slowly and try to, so the last one here. And that's it. Something like that. Maybe here a little bit. Yeah. Let's see, of course, you see, my result here was maybe much interesting because of the texture. I really wanted to have a lot of textures, the shadow, but anyway, you see, I get something else. When you create an image, you can do 10 times the same, and you will never have the same result. Never. Yeah. So that's it. that's not bad, by the way. Technically speaking, I mean, because I work very fast. Maybe here's the color of the dress. I will create an empty layer. I will here change the blend mode to color. And with a brush, I will pick a color on the flower. I don't know, maybe here something gray. So Alt or Option, click. And now you see, I will brush the microphone. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. Which analog filter do you use, David? A lot, in fact, Barry. I experiment Old English. There is one named Old English. I like it very much, but yeah, I can really. Sorry, I don't have a preference. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to our image. Okay, so here we are. And yeah, I wanted to brush a little bit more the dress to match. Oh, it's too much here on the breast. You see, it's not perfect. Once again, I did fast, so I did not pay. Maybe I need something more. I will pick another color, maybe even the red here. It's too much, but if I reduce the opacity, maybe it could be interesting. Too much. Very, very low opacity. Yeah, maybe it will be more in the color of the dress. So here, when at the end, it happens. Sometimes it happens, even if I try to work well. Stamp layer. Nowadays, there is something I always will try first. Of course, I can do with the clone stamp tool or etc. The generative fill. And here, I will first select the area. You see, I did here a mistake with a layer. Okay, generative fill, generate, and look, perfect. Just perfect. There are three possibilities. Maybe this one is even better. Yeah, the second one is even better here. Let's see the third one. Whoa, why not? You see, that's one click. It would take a little bit, of course, more time. There are a lot of tools, but once again, if I can, if the technology can help me, thank you very much. So let's apply this one. I can merge these two layers, and that's it. So that's one idea. So of course, it's a window. I will put the two together. Okay. And okay. See? By the way, this one today is also interesting. It's different, a little bit different. Yeah.